Hi, it's Hans at ahappierman.com. Today's topic is verbal abuse in cars. Well, you can see I make most of my videos in my favorite vehicle of all time, my F-150 Ford pickup truck. And I've had this truck over 10 years. I just absolutely love it still. I've been all over the place in it, driving around, enjoying life. It gets me to work for the production. I run my errands. I have my fun. I see my family, see my kids, see my friends, go on vacation, and do whatever else in life I have in my vehicle. And I love driving around, driving to see people, driving for fun, driving for work, driving for pleasure, seeing the sights. And then sometimes I make some videos if the sun cooperates and the road isn't overly rough. And so I love being in the car. I love driving around. I like, I love driving. I like being a passenger. I probably like driving more, but getting to the verbal abuse in cars, it's if you're in a relationship with a lady and she's giving you a hard time, laying on the verbal abuse when you're driving, I would say that your marriage is dead. The first time that your wife starts giving you some verbal abuse while you're driving, you should take the first opportunity to leave her. Because verbal abuse in a vehicle it's one of the most dangerous situations you can find yourself in. If you're driving and she's laying on the verbal abuse, you're not going to be thinking about focusing on the road and the safety, especially if you got children in the car. But even for yourself and her, that's a horrible situation. So it's bad enough that she would be giving you verbal abuse in the normal day-to-day, but if she gives you verbal abuse while you're driving, you have no hope of a good life with this lady. She doesn't care about your life at all. And if this sounds like anything that you're dealing with, you might want to check out my book, Leave Your Wife and Become a Happier Man with a 3-Step System, available on the ahappierman.com website. There's some links down in the description below to to get you there. Once you get to my website, ahappierman.com, you can't miss the book. And I have a long article describing it. But see, the problem with the verbal abuse in the car is you're trapped, right? If you're in your house, you might be able to get up and leave the room. You might be able to go out in your car and leave the house. If she's screaming at you in the morning, well, hopefully you get to get up and leave and go to work. If she's screaming at you after work when you get home, you might be able to get and leave the house. Okay, go outside, leave. But when you're in a car, see, you're trapped. You're effectively trapped. It's especially if you're driving, right? And it's your car. She's got you trapped, and your mind she's breaking your mind little by little, or little by a lot, actually. It doesn't take a lot of verbal abuse to break you. That's why I would suggest at the first sign of verbal abuse, that's your cue to leave, to bail on this wicked situation you found yourself in. Now, maybe you can, if you recognize it early enough, you can talk about it with her, try to make some progress. But the research I did in the years leading up to my leaving and the years afterwards, researching this more extensively for writing the book, doesn't seem to be any evidence that a lady, once she starts on this verbal abuse path, that she has the ability to quit. So think about how dysfunctional she has become, that she will actually yell and scream and make you feel terrible about yourself while you're driving, and that she cares so little about even her own health and safety that she's going to put you and her and horribly your precious children in this situation. I think you, as a man, a decent man, trying to live a good life, trying to provide for your children and make a good life for yourself and have a bit of happiness, should give this some real careful consideration. If she's starting to go down this verbal abuse path while you're driving, I don't see how you're ever gonna have a good life. She's gonna find this, she's gonna hold, if she holds up that idea and gives you the verbal abuse while you're driving, you have to leave. It's a recipe for disaster. I'm surprised that I survived, thinking about some of these drives I would have with my wife at the time, and how much verbal abuse I was enduring. So, for example, we would get in the car late on a Sunday night after spending the day with her parents, and it was, to me, it was kind of a pleasant day, very nice. Her parents were very nice, accommodating, have a nice time, get in the car late. I would have to be, of course, up early the next day for work, so I would have wanted to leave much earlier, but another story. And then it was almost like as soon as we would start down the road leaving, it'd be dark, kids would be starting to fall asleep, she would start laying on this verbal abuse, and this was maybe a 2 or 3 hour car ride from her parents to our house that I just had to endure, right? At that time in my life, I didn't think about leaving. I just thought, how can I endure this? Because sometimes we would have these trips and maybe she'd be extra tired and fall asleep, so maybe I'm hoping that she'll fall asleep and I can drive in peace. But sometimes she would be wound up. There might have been something happen at the family gathering that she has to unload. But it was ruining my life. It ruined my life. I thankfully, I didn't crash the car. I survived. I got my wife, this terrible, verbally abusive woman, home safely, and I got my precious children home safely. And I got home safely, except physically, I was safe, but mentally I was even more destroyed than I already was. And this is the culmination of verbal abuse, is you are destroyed as a human being. You are basically wrecked. And the longer you stay in this pounding, verbally abusive situation, the more wrecked you become, until you may not have any capacity at all to stand up for yourself and to leave, and you spend the rest of your life suffering in misery. So I hate to be so negative. This is a holiday weekend, and as I'm talking about it just driving around in the pleasure I've had all these years by myself and with other people who are nice, reminded me of how bad my car rides were. And instead of having the pleasant chit chat that you should have with a wife who adores you and that you love and cherish, I did not have that. I did not have that at all. And if this sounds like you, well, go to my website, ahappier.man.com, and look for the book here, Leave Your Wife and Become a Happier Man with a 3-Step System. It's available on that allhappierman.com website. The book will save your life if you're in this situation. Read it, do what it says. But the simple story is, you should just leave this verbally abusive woman who is screaming at you and giving you a hard time while you're driving. So give that kind of horrible idea some thought, all for now.